It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio.
It is a lovely Wednesday morning from this side, and I believe it is wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to Wednesday edition of Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Today being the 11th day in the month of October in the year 2023. My name is Rizkot Sulaiman.
I'm Showali Mashi. Thanks for joining us on Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv radio.
Alright, on Freshlight this morning, we will be looking at couples of newspaper. We have the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, and the Daily Sun newspaper. Don't forget Freshlight. This is where we get to look at different national dailies. So I will be kickstarting with the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. On the Daily Sun newspaper front page, we have 5.4 million voters to elect Imo, Kogi, Bayelsa governors. 28 page 28 captures this story. It also has a rider, Tinubu governors, Ganduje, ministers flag off Uzodima's campaigns today. You can also find this on page 28 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Picking the bold headline, Tinubu backs Umahi over war against contractors. You can find this on page 6 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. It also has a rider, minister threatens to drag erring contractors to ICPC, EFCC. Page 6 also captured this story. And away from that, anguish as fuel queues increase in Abuja. You can find this on page 29. It also has a rider, we are addressing it, FG marketers. You can find this on page 20 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Buhari, 7 governors, emirs, others attend Katsina Security Watch Corps launch. You can find this on 5. Page 5 captured this story on the Daily Sun newspaper. On NECO, 737,308 pass with 5 credits in Maths English. It also has a rider, exam body blacklist 93 schools, 52 supervisors for malpractices. You can find this on page 6 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Kidnapper on rampage in Nasarawa, Kogi, abduct varsity student, Islamic cleric. Page 4 and 5 captured this story. Still up subsidy, FG, federal government will soon release 6-month report of revenues, says RMAFC. You can find this on page 2 on the Daily Sun newspaper. On Bayelsa Guba, Silva appeals ruling voiding his candidacy. You can find this on page 22. Also on the Daily newspaper this morning, Senate mandates 5 committees to investigate crude oil thefts in Niger Delta. Page 2 also captured this particular story. What Tinubu must do to fix Nigeria. This is not coming from me. This is coming from Pastor Ashimolowo. Plans. It also has a rather story. Plans multi-million naira compassion crusade in Ikorodu. Well, to whom it may concern, you can find this story on the page 26 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Lastly, on the Daily Sun newspaper, Ogun, Zamfara, Cross River, Adamawa top cholera cases list. You can find this on page 26 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. All of these and many more stories you find on the Daily Sun newspaper. Going into the details.
The first story on the Daily Sun newspaper, Tinubu backs Umahi over war against contractors. President Bola Tinubu has backed the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, on plan to use concrete for construction of roads across the country against what he called gang up. while some road contractor opposed to the policy. He made the disclosure to the State House correspondents after he met with the President Bola Tinubu at Asorok Villa, Abuja. According to him, some contractor with the backing of what he calls enemies within have ganged up to frustrate the policy, and President Tinubu has given him the go-ahead to resist the blackmail and do what is right and for the benefit of Nigerians. Umaye added that some have keyed into the policy, just as major cement producers have agreed to discount prices for such government road builders. He also highlighted the advantages of cement roads over asphalt bitumen, including cheaper cost and the need to encourage local production of cement against importation of bitumen. Umaye wants contractor against the doggy attitude of securing about 20 projects but end up deploying as few as 2 units of equipment to sites. Tinubu backs Umaye over war against contractor, the Daily Sun newspaper. I'll still on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning to go with another story. What Tinubu must do to fix Nigeria, Pastor Ashimolowo. Matthew Ashimolowo, the senior pastor of Kingsway International Christian Center, KICC, has preferred recommendation on how to fix Nigeria and get country out of its current challenges. Ashimolowo, who was on a visit to the city office of the Sun Publishing Limited, Ikeja, yesterday, said there were several disequilibrium in Nigeria and has currently structured and advocated a total overhaul of substituting 1999 constitution, restructuring and devolving of power to the regions and involvement of youth in politics. He lamented that despite the fact that majority of the resources that sustain Nigeria are located in the southern belt of the country, and the region remains neglected in the distribution of infrastructural development. Why should the South produce all the resources and a railway is built to Niger Republic when South remain underdeveloped? It does not make sense. It is very clear and obvious that there is this equilibrium. You cannot blame the person who sees resources leaving his area and going somewhere else. There will be agitation, and you cannot stop these agitations by mere military presence. Rather, you empower them, create employment and system in the area that will make the people stop agitation. What Tinubu must do to fix Nigeria, Pastor Ashimolowo, the Sun newspaper.
I'm still on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. I'm picking my first story. I will be picking it from Zamfara, Cross River, Adamawa, and Ogun. Zamfara, Cross River, Adamawa, Ogun, top cholera cases list. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) has listed Zamfara, Cross River, Adamawa, and Ogun as states with highest cholera cases in the country. NCDC Incident Manager, Cholera Technical Working Group Dr. Sebastian Yena said this at the monthly meeting of the Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Emergency Working Group in Abuja yesterday. According to him, the cases are update from the Center's Epidemiology Week 39, saying efforts were ongoing in providing response commodities to affected states and in the country. Yena said NCDC intervention through cholera case management was carried out in partnership with the WHO by distributing infection prevention and control kits, wash kits, chlorine powder, among others. This intervention, he noted, was being prioritized in 4 states, saying the kit distributed can also be used in emergency situations like the Lassa fever and diphtheria outbreak. To read details of this, you can pick Daily Sun newspaper this morning. It has this headline: Zamfara, Cross River, Adamawa, Ogun top cholera cases list. To whom it may concern. You can see this on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning.
I started on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. I'll go at the INEC confirmed 5.4 million electoral to vote in Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa global poll. INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has disclosed that a total of 5,409,438 registered voters will exercise their franchise in the forthcoming November 11th off-season governorship election in the three states of Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo. INEC, in a statement signed by the National Commission and Chairman Information and Voters Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, also announced that it has declared 16 political party candidates in Bayelsa, 17 in Imo, and all the 18 parties in Kogi State. The commission equally disclosed that it will this weekend, Saturday, October 14, organize mock accreditation of voters, noting that it will deploy both biomodal voters accreditation system, BVAS, and INEC resulting viewing portal, IVRs, during the exercise. According to the statement, the commission held its regular meeting on Tuesday and, among others issues, reviewed preparation for the off-cycle governorship election in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. On the presentation of voters registered, the commission noted for the forthcoming election, there are 1,056,862 registered voters in Bayelsa, 2,419,922 in Imo State, and 1,932,652 in 932,654 in Kogi State, making a combined total of 5,409,438 registered voters for the three states. INEC confirms 5.4 million electorate to vote in Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa, Goban poll. The Sun newspaper.
And away from the Sun newspaper, let's check Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the Vanguard newspaper front page, we have IMF raises alarm over rising inflation. On page 19 captured this story. Clark decries deplorable state of roads in South. You can find this on page 12 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. FG to cut number of taxis to 9. Also, you can find this story on the page 8 on the Vanguard newspaper. General jails 7 years by Army Court Martial. You can find this on page 6. Also on the particular newspaper, I didn't forge my certificate. This is not coming from me, this is coming from article. You can also find this on page 13 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Picking the bold headline on the Vanguard newspaper, Israel-Hamas war, FG halt pilgrimage as Lagos airlift 310 from Jerusalem. You can find this on page 5, and it's also had a double rider. Israel pounds Gaza despite threats to kill hostages. Death toll exceeds 1,900 as oil prices surge. Conflict taking horrendous toll on children. This is coming from UNICEF. You can also find this on page 5 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And away from that, why court disqualified Bayelsa APC candidate Silva? Page 29 captured this story. On insecurity, we will help Nigerians overcome banditry, kidnapping, Boko Haram. This is coming from EU. You can find this on page 9 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Reps to investigate use of foreign currency as legal tender in Nigeria. Page 9 also captured this story. Bad roads. Federal government gives contractors 14-day ultimatum. You can find this on page 8 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Lastly, on the Vanguard newspaper, reps to investigate use of foreign currency as legal tender in Nigeria. NECA to LFG begin plans for minimum wage review. All of these and many more stories you find on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Going into the details.
The first story on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. IMF raises alarm over rising inflation. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has raised alarm over the negative effect of high inflation on consumption of goods and services in the country, even as it downgraded its economic growth forecast for Nigeria to 2.9% from 3.3%. However, the fund also projected that the recent reforms by the federal government, namely fuel subsidy removal and an elimination of multiple exchange rates, will lead to a strong and more inclusive economic growth in the country, while calling for more interest rate hike to tame inflation. The latest forecasts were contained in the IMF World Economic Outlook report, October 2023, released on the sideline of the ongoing World Bank IMF annual meeting in Marrakech, Morocco. The new forecast for Nigerian economic growth is 0.3% points lower than the 3.2% projected by IMF in July. It also 0.85% points lower than the 3.75% economic growth rate projected by the federal government in the 2023 budget. IMF raised alarm over rising inflation, the Vanguard newspaper.
I'm picking my first story this morning on the Vanguard newspaper. I will be taking my flight to Canada this morning. On Japa, residents lived in Cemetery Street as rents are high in Canada. Many people are experiencing homelessness as housing prices and rent have increased in Canada real estate market. A report said tens of thousands have started living on the streets of Canada, which remains a top destination for immigrants and refugees. According to a new study in September, 1 in 2 homeless people in Quebec can be located in rural areas of the eastern province rather than primarily in Montreal, as was previously the case. India Times reported that in Quebec, a government assessment, nearly 1 in every homeless people ended on the street after being evicted from the housing. The number of homeless people in Quebec rose by 44% between 2018 and 2022, reaching 10,000 last year. It said indigenous people, who make up 5% of Canadian population, are overrepresented in the streets, particularly Inuit, according to the director of a local anti-poverty organization, Karine Lucia. In Granby alone, we need at least 1,000 affordable housing units, Lucia said. One of the affected persons, Danny Bodeokote, had been living in the temporary camp in cemetery in Granby for months after being evicted for an apartment he shared with his girlfriend in June. He said, "I work 5 days every week." He said, "What little housing there is much expensive," he stated. Mayor of Granby, Julie Borden, said visible homelessness did not exist 3 years in Granby, but rents are very high now compared to 2 years ago. To read details of this, you can pick Vanguard newspaper this morning. On Japa, resident lives in Cemetery Street as rents are high in Canada. To whom it may concern, Vanguard newspaper guide us to the story this morning.
And lastly, on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, festival, Christians, Muslims, traditionalists pray for national rebirth. Gani Adams. Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, Iba Gani Adams, yesterday declared that Christians, Muslims, and traditionalists are praying to God for Nigerians' rebirth. He said this as part of the programs for the ongoing Olokun Olosa Festival in Lagos State. Speaking at the event held at Odua House in Ikeja, Lagos, Ààrẹ Adams, who was represented by the National Assistant General Secretary of the Odua People's Congress, OPC, Mrs. Folakemi Bameke, said prayer to the Almighty God is the spiritual encounter with God, adding that the program was a content of the spirituality of God. He said, "This is the second day program of the ongoing Olokun Olosa Festival, and it is purely a spiritual event which the cleric, coming from Christian, Muslim, and traditionalist background. Praying to Almighty God is one event that reflects our belief in the power of prayer and the equally ability of God, the supreme being of all our affairs. With this program, I believe the God's blessing for the national rebirth is in earnest." Festival, Christians, Muslim, traditionalists praying for national rebirth. Gani Adams, the Vanguard newspaper. On that note, we'll go on a short commercial break. But when we come back, we'll give you the details on the Punch newspaper. Do stay with us. Thank you.
Thousands have been disappointed severally in their bid to see greener pasture abroad. To those quack in the traveling agency business, it is a rocket science. That is not our case at Tausaf Travels and Tour. We have in-depth details on how to successfully, without stress, help you process and secure your visa to anywhere in the world. Do you want permanent residential visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to places like Europe, America, Asia, Africa? It's no big deal to us at Tausaf Travels and Tour. Our years of experience and expertise speaks volume for us. Let's process and secure visa for you to UK, USA, and Canada within a twinkle of an eye. We offer Hajj and Umrah services to our Muslim faithfuls. What are you waiting for? Consult us at number 9 Tausaf Central Mosque, Sholanke Street, behind Laroy Hotel, Abiola Way, Abeokuta. 0802 733 0900 or 0806 578 4060. Stop wasting money. Pay for peace of mind. Talk to Tausaf Travels and Tour.
Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gbayì tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó bágbàmú ló ń kọjá lọ sí House of Zayana. House of Zayana, the name I know when we talk of top-notch fashion, quality materials and class. House of Zayana, lẹ́tí máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jiná tí wọ́n fawọ́ original ṣe, àwọn aago kájọ́ tó ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes, pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbafẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀ ojú mi ń ṣe kámi, èmi ni ó rà, èmi ni ó mú. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógè gbọ́n pa fashion tẹ́ wá nílò jàlábíà, hijab àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi. House of Zayana lẹ́ò ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zayana wà ní 52 Ọlọ́run ṣògo road adjacent Redeemed Church Agape Parish Ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram House of Zayana 08165688618. House of Zayana, ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣaralóge tí ń gbéni níyì.
Welcome back. Glad to still know you are still there on Freshlight this morning on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Don't forget, we've gone through the Vanguard newspaper this morning. We've also looked at the Daily Sun, picking the last newspaper on Freshlight this morning. Going to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper front page, we have Senate condemns 2.3 trillion naira oil theft, probe security agents. You can find this on page 29 on the Punch newspaper this morning. Inflation to slow Nigeria's growth to 2.9%, says IMF. You can find this on page 22 on the Punch newspaper this morning. Flood kills 45, displays 171,545 persons in 13 states. This is coming from NEMA. You can find this on page 8 on the Punch newspaper this morning. Picking the bold headline, Forex crisis, Naira plunges to $1,025. Job loses, factory shuts down loom. You can find this on page 2 on the Punch newspaper this morning. It also has a double rider. Forex crisis hinders raw materials procurement, causes financial problem. NECA. SMEs decry impending shutdown. Red probe airlines, schools demanding dollars. You can find this on page 2 on the Punch newspaper this morning. NCPC suspend pilgrimage to Israel. Lagos contingent returns. Page 30 captured this story. 18 parties jostle for 5.4 million votes in Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa. You can find this on page 8 on the Punch newspaper this morning. And away from that, Army General jailed 7 years, ordered to refund 3.7 billion naira. You can find this on page 29 on the Punch newspaper. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, NECO indeed 93 schools for cheating blacklist 52 supervisors. You can find this on page 7 on the Punch newspaper. All of these and many more you find on the Punch newspaper this morning. Picking the stories.
The first story on the Punch newspaper this morning: father in court for sexually molesting 2 underage sons. A 38 years old man, Afis Gbadamosi, was on Tuesday arraigned before the Ikeja Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Court by the Lagos State government for allegedly sexually molesting his 2 underage sons who are between ages 3 and 7. Gbadamosi is facing a 4 counts of sexual assault and his indecent behavior prevailed against him by the state. The state prosecuting counsel, Abim Abolade, told the court that the incident occurred sometimes between 2021 and 2022. She said the molestation took place at the Yanomudaba area of Agric in Ikorodu, Lagos State. Abolade told Justice Abiola Sholadoyi that the defendant sexually assaulted the boys by inserting his finger into the anus. She also alleged that Gbadamosi indecently touches their genitals, pressing their buttocks, and also make them wash him while he has sexual intercourse with his wife. According to the prosecutor, the offences contravened Section 261 and 264 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. However, the defendant pleaded not guilty to the charges. The defendant counseled O.O. Oladipopo urged the court to grant a client bail in liberal terms. Father in court for sexually molesting 2 underage sons, the Punch newspaper.
Still on the Punch newspaper, NECO indeed 93 schools for cheating, blacklist 52 supervisors. The National Examination Council on Tuesday released the results of 2023 internal senior secondary school certificate examination with a record of 61.60% of candidates scoring 5 credits and above, including English and Maths and Mathematics. However, the Examination Council disclosed that 93 schools were found to be involved in old school math cheating, while 52 supervisors were recommended for blacklisting due to poor supervision, aiding and abetting during the examination. The Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of NECO, Professor Dantani Wushishi, disclosed this while announcing the release of the results of the examination. Wushishi said the erring schools will be invited to the council for discussion, after which appropriate sanctions will be applied. He said 1,196,985 candidates representing 661,398 males and 580,587 females sat the examination, adding that 1,543 candidates with special needs also sat the examination. Wushishi said the number of candidates with special needs is 1,542,000, which include 913 candidates with hearing impairment, 162 candidates with visual impairment, 103 candidates with albinism, 61 candidates with autism, and 149 candidates with low vision, and 154 candidates with dermatoglyphic, which are candidates with no fingerprint. 737,308 candidates representing 61.60% passed with 5 credits and above. 1,013,611 representing 84.68% of candidates had 5 credits, irrespective of English and Mathematics. To read details of this, you can pick Punch newspaper this morning. NECO indicts 93 schools for cheating, blacklist 52 supervisors. Our Punch newspaper punches it out this morning.
Lastly, from my side this morning, the Punch Sports column. Why Cardiff stopped Collins from Eagles friendlies. Cardiff City boss Errol Bullock say protecting Jamie Collins is paramount, hence the need to have player withdrawal from Nigerians' upcoming international friendlies against Saudi Arabia and Mozambique. Nigeria take on the Green Falcons of Saudi Arabia in the city of Portimao, Portugal on Friday, October 13, before a clash with Mozambique in the same city 3 days later. Punch Sport Extra had earlier reported that Collins was a major doubt for the friendlies, but surprisingly, Super Eagles Portuguese coach Jose Peseiro invited the left back for the game. It was, however, confirmed on the team's X handle on Monday that 29 years old won't be available for the international break, with Peseiro forced to invite Chidozie Awazem in his stead. The official Super Eagle X account posted the left back a struggle with fitness leading up to the international break. The former Peterborough player missed a total of 45 games for Cardiff last season after he suffered crucial ligament injury against West Bromwich Albion in August 2022. Why Cardiff City stopped Collins from Eagles friendly, the Punch Sports column.
Before we call it a wrap on the Freshlight this morning, let's just look at this health feature story. Still on the Punch newspaper, World Mental Health Day, the decriminalized mental health says Pate. Sorry, I have to pick it again. World Mental Health Day, the decriminalized mental health says Pate. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate, has called on Nigerians to decriminalize mental health, but rather empathize with patients suffering from such diseases. The World Mental Health Day is an international day for global mental health education, awareness and advocacy against social stigma. The day was established on October 10, 1992 by the World Federation for Mental Health. Our party made the call on Tuesday in Abuja during the commemoration of the 2023 World Mental Health Day with the theme, Mental Health is a Universal Human Right. Our party stated that no reason should mental health be criminalized in the present day. According to the minister, we should have a progressive approach to look at it. Since we do not criminalize malaria, why should we criminalize mental health issues? I want us to look beyond celebrating this day and look closely at the individuals around us with the eye of empathy. Put yourself in their position. If you are suffering from a disease, there is no reason for you to be stigmatized or for it to be criminalized. To read more of this feature story, you can pick Punch newspaper this morning on World Health Day. On World Mental Health Day, decriminalize mental health, says Pate. Punch newspaper punches it out this morning. On this note, this is what we call it a wrap on Freshlight this morning. Don't forget to always like, comment, and share all our content. And as we are celebrating World Health Mental Day, we advise us that we shouldn't allow anything to tamper with our peace of mind and our health stability. I remain Riscott Suleiman. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
And hi, I'm Showale Moshid. God bless Nigeria. God bless Ogun State. Thank you.